Okay, so basically today we'll be discussing about the idea of justice, and therefore I have named this particular session as the state of justice in India. Right. So particularly we will be trying to understand that what justice is, and then we will move on to its next aspect, the various dimensions it has, and then we will try to see in a short that what are the provisions that are there under Indian Constitution which ensure justice. And once we are done with this, I will just do a small, let's say, analysis of the present situation and of the present situation of the justice in India. Right. So this will be the flow of class. And to assist with this, I have prepared a slide, and I'm going to share that. So we will be using this slide for the layout of the ideas that are there. Right. Okay. So let's just start the session. Fine. Okay, so we have the session which is named State of Justice in India. Okay, so let's start. Fine. As we have already discussed, today in this lecture, we'll be talking about what justice exactly is, what are the provisions in Indian Constitution related to them. We'll be talking in short about Article 32 and Article 226. Then judicial review, judicial activism. We'll be talking about these things in very short. Okay, and then we're moving to justice in present scenario. That will be a discussion. Much of today's discussion will rely on dealing with the provisions of Indian Constitution, and actually we'll be talking a lot on the concept of justice. Right? So what justice is? Okay. See, most of the times we have talked about justice. Okay, so we must have heard a lot of things about justice. But again, one needs to ask these questions. Okay, that what justice is, and therefore to understand this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just prepare um, a question. So there are two basically dilemmas. There are two basic questions that we will be concerned with. One is the train puzzle, and one is doctor's dilemma. Okay. So if I ask you that, what will you do? Okay. So let's say there is a particular situations, and I'm going to ask you that what will you do in both the cases? Both the cases means number one, in just give me a second. Okay. So basically, I'm going to present to you two situations, and then you need to answer me that what will you do. So let's say there is a train, and you are in the engine of the train. Okay. Unfortunately or fortunately, the train is quite vacant. Okay. And you see that at some distance, the track is diverging into two different paths. So you have a train, okay, which is moving. So you are in this train, and this train is basically diverging into the track further is diverging to two parts, right? तो क्या हो रहा है कि एक ट्रेन चल रही है और जो ट्रैक है वो दो पार्ट्स में बट रहा है, okay? And suddenly you see कि दोनों एक तरफ कुछ लोग काम कर रहे हैं, let's say 7-8 लोग काम कर रहे हैं, और जो दूसरी तरफ है वहां पर एक ट्रॉली है, और ट्रॉली में जो ट्रॉली ट्रैक पे स्लाइड होता रहता है उसमें कोई बच्चा है. आप हॉर्न देना स्टार्ट करते हैं कि दोनों में से कोई एक खाली हो जाए, लेकिन दोनों में से कोई एक भी खाली नहीं होता है, राइट? एंड अल्टीमेटली यू नीड टू फेस द डिलेमा. ओके, अब आप लेट्स से यू ट्राई टू अप्लाई द ब्रेक्स, लेकिन ब्रेक्स काम नहीं करते हैं. ओके, सो अल्टीमेटली आपके पास एक ही प्रॉब्लम बच गया है. ओके, दैट इज कि अगर आपके पास स्टीयरिंग है, नाउ यू हैव ओनली वन ऑप्शन कि यू हैव गॉट द स्टीयरिंग, और आप ट्रेन को किसी एक डायरेक्शन में मोड़ सकते हैं. दो चॉइसेस हैं, यानी इन शॉर्ट मैं आपसे पूछ रहा हूं कि आप दो लोगों को मार सकते हैं. दो सिचुएशंस हैं. एक तरफ अगर आप ट्रेन को मोड़ेंगे तो जो 8 लोग हैं वो मारे जाएंगे. दूसरी तरफ अगर आप ट्रेन को मोड़ेंगे तो जो एक बच्चा है वो मारा जाएगा. तो आप क्या करेंगे? ओके, सो वो मारे ही जाएंगे. देयर इज नो अदर ऑप्शंस. कुछ और दिमाग लगाने की जरूरत नहीं है कि मैं हॉर्न बजाऊंगा वो भाग जाएंगे. सो सच थिंग्स इज नॉट द ऑप्शन. क्वेश्चन बहुत ही स्ट्रेट है कि आप क्या करेंगे, राइट? सो मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम अगर लोगों से क्वेश्चन पूछा जाता है, सो दे विल ऑप्ट फॉर द सिचुएशन जहां पर उनको वो 7 लोगों को बचा रहे हैं और एक बच्चे की जान ले ले रहे हैं, राइट? सो मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल will say in this situation that they will turn the handle of the train, okay, or turn the train towards that track, okay, which is having just one simple student, right? तो इस डिलेमा में हम क्या देख रहे हैं कि अगर हम आपको चॉइस दें, if I give you a choice to select between killing 7 people and then killing just one person, okay, most of us will go ahead and will let's say choose for killing one person and saving 7 lives, right? So that's one notion. Now let me change this question. जो ये train puzzle है, let me change this train puzzle and let me change this to a doctor's dilemma, right? Now let's say you are a renowned surgeon, you are a very good surgeon, और let's just assume कि आपकी जो पूरी टीम है उसके पास almost सारे organs की surgery उनको आती है, and basically in your clinic surgery of all kinds are performed. And suddenly one day, अचानक एक दिन आपके पास एक बच्चा आता है, let's say he is of 18 to 19 years, okay, and you examine him, okay, and you find that specifically he is having no disease, उसको कोई particular disease नहीं है, just he is feeling uneasy, and an idea crosses your mind कि अगर मैं इस बच्चे की जान ले लेता हूँ तो जो बाकी पेशेंट्स हैं मेरे क्लिनिक में, लेट्स से किसी को हार्ट की जरूरत है, किसी को किडनी की जरूरत है, किसी को आइस की जरूरत है, और लेट्स से कुछ और ऑर्गन, किसी को लीवर की जरूरत है, किसी को पैनक्रियास की जरूरत है, वो सारे एक बच्चे से बहुत लोगों को दिए जा सकते हैं. दिस आइडिया कम्स टू योर माइंड एंड विदाउट गिविंग अ थॉट यू रन अ टेस्ट एंड यू फाइंड कि अगर इस बच्चे की जान ली जाती है, if you take away this kid's life, then probably you might be able to save something around 10 to 12 lives, right? तो अगर आप इस बच्चे को मार देते हैं, इसके organs निकाल करके बाकी लोगों में transplant कर देते हैं, then you might be able to save 10 to 12 lives, right? Now the question is, will you do this as a doctor? क्या आप इस चीज को करेंगे? Now most of the time people will say that this is such a gross thing to do, और वो नहीं करना चाहेंगे. But let me remind you from the previous example. Previous example में आपने क्या कहा था कि अगर एक ट्रैक पर 7 लोग हैं और दूसरी तरफ एक बच्चा है, तो आप 7 लोगों की जान बचाएंगे और उस बच्चे की जान ले लेंगे, राइट? अब अगर मैं आपको दूसरा ऑप्शन दूं कि ठीक है, आपके सामने जो ट्रेन चल रही है, ओके, और आप इस बार क्या कर रहे हैं, आप ट्रेन के अंदर नहीं है, बस छोटी सी ट्रेन है, बहुत बड़ी ट्रेन भी नहीं है, ट्रैम है, ओके, और ट्रैम के सामने दो सिचुएशंस अगेन से वही है, एक तरफ बच्चा है और एक तरफ कुछ लोग हैं, और आप इस पूरे सिचुएशन को बाहर से खड़े होकर के देख रहे हैं, जो कि ओवरब्रिज है, और ओवरब्रिज में एक मोटा सा आदमी खड़ा है, ओके, जो कि आपका फ्रेंड है, ओके. तो अगेन से ट्रैम जा रही है और ट्रैम के पास 2 ही ऑप्शन है कि अगर वो इस तरफ जाएगा तो एक बच्चे की जान लेगा, और अगर दूसरी तरफ जाएगा तो 7 लोगों की जान लेगा, ओके, और एक मोटा सा आदमी खड़ा है ऊपर. आपके माइंड में आता है कि अगर मैं इस मोटे से आदमी को नीचे धक्का दे दूं, ओके, तो ये जाकर के पटरी के ऊपर गिर जाएगा, और पटरी के ऊपर गिरने के बाद जो ट्रैम है वो उसके वजन से रुक जाएगा, ओके. सो अल्टीमेटली यू कैन सेव द लाइव्स, ओके. ये अगेन माइंड में चल रहा है आपके. नाउ व्हाट आई एम एसेंशियली ट्राइंग टू से इज कि अलग-अलग सिचुएशंस में हमारी जो थ्योरीज हैं, ओके, जस्टिस के, वो बदल जाते हैं, राइट? पहले केस में हम क्या देखें कि आप 7 लोगों की जान बचाना चाहते हैं, लेकिन जब आप डॉक्टर हैं तब आप 7 लोगों की जान नहीं बचाना चाहते हैं. डू नॉट विश टू सेव 7 people's लाइफ, राइट? तब यहाँ पर आपका एथिक्स आ जाता है. पहले केस में कुछ और डिलेमा चल रही है. सो अल्टीमेटली अलग अलग फिलोसफर्स के हिसाब से, अलग अलग स्कॉलर्स के हिसाब से जो क्वेश्चंस हैं उनके आंसर बदलते जाते हैं. एंड देयरफॉर व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू इंसिस्ट इज कि जस्टिस इज नॉट अ सिंपल सिचुएशन टू अंडरस्टैंड, राइट? जस्टिस को समझना इतना आसान नहीं है. एंड देयरफॉर आई एम जस्ट प्रेजेंटिंग 2 जनरल कांसेप्ट्स इन दिस लेक्चर. Although ये पूरा लेक्चर 2 से 3 दिन चलता है on justice, there are several different scholars who have different point of views about justice, but we won't go into that detail. हम लोग पूरे उसके बारे में चर्चा नहीं करेंगे, as this is a demo class. We'll be discussing about them when we are actually into the course Indian Polity. Okay, so today we will be just talking about 2 theories on justice. Okay, and the two theories that I will be dealing with. One is distributive justice and the other is retributive justice. So I'll be talking a lot about these, okay, and let's try to understand what is distributive justice and what is retributive justice. Again, understanding of these 2 kind of justice is important to understand that Indian constitution or Indian legal system incorporates best of both the systems, right? And therefore I'm going to deal with these, okay, in a nutshell. So I won't be going into a lot of details, rather I will be just talking in a nutshell, okay. So first we have distributive justice, and what distributive justice means is the very term that we have here is distributive. हमारे पास term क्या है? Distributive. Distributive मतलब हम किस चीज को कैसे बांट रहे हैं, right? So there are certain questions, there are certain goods. हमको कुछ कुछ चीजों को बांटना है. In society, this is something that is the dilemma faced by the policymakers, and ultimately you might face if you become a civil servant. Okay, so ये जो dilemma है distributive justice का, here you need to distribute the goods. Okay, apart from this, आपको ये भी सोचना है कि हम किसको दे रहे हैं. Number one, कि किन goods को हम बांट रहे हैं. What are the goods that we are distributing? Number two is कि हम किन को बांट रहे हैं. Why are we distributing it? And then we again have one more question. The third part of this, or the third aspect of distributive justice is कि जो proper distribution है वो कैसे किया जाए. Let's say कि मैं किसको 2 रोटी दूं, किसको 4 रोटी दूं, किसको रिजर्वेशन दूं, किसको रिजर्वेशन नहीं दूं. Okay, so ये जो क्वेश्चंस हैं इनसे डील करता है डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिव जस्टिस. और जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिव जस्टिस है इसके अंदर बेसिकली वी डील विद 3 काइंड्स ऑफ थ्योरीज. नंबर 1 is social justice, then we talk about property rights, and then welfare maximization. We will come to this. Okay, so let's just try to see what are the goods that can be distributed. Now John Rawls is a political thinker. Okay, according to him there are 2 kinds of goods जिसको हम distribute करते हैं. First we have goods related to liberty and rights. Okay, so basically you are giving rights to certain people, and then you are giving liberty to certain people. Now these goods are intangible goods. Okay, so practically you cannot touch them, they are soft goods. Okay, and then you have another kind of goods which are, let's say, social economic goods. So you can talk about distribution of wealth, distribution of income, distribution of let's say certain resources. Okay, so 2 kinds of goods are basically what we are concerned about. कि हम राइट्स को कैसे बांट रहे हैं, किसको हम क्या राइट दे रहे हैं, किससे हम क्या राइट ले रहे हैं. ओके, किसको हम स्पेशल प्रिविलेजेस दे रहे हैं सोसाइटी में. एंड देन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट कि किसको हम कितना इनकम दे रहे हैं, कितना रिसोर्सेज डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं. ओके, वेल्थ किसके पास कितना है. सच थिंग्स are the goods which we need to distribute in practical sense. Apart from this, there are questions like whom we are distributing to. हम किनको बांट रहे हैं, what section of the society. हम केवल गरीबों को बांट रहे हैं, मिडिल क्लास को भी बांट रहे हैं, अपर क्लास को बांट रहे हैं. Okay, what are the privileges that middle class man enjoys? What are the privileges that a man from let's say lower class or from the poor class enjoys, right? So these are the questions. Next is how are we going to distribute, right? And therefore here comes the quite differentiation between the concept of equality and equity. So the kind of equity and equality that we will be dealing with, again I will talk about it in detail, but let me just give you a brief key what is equality and equity. So equality, when we talk about equality in political science, it does not mean equal to. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि मैं 2 रोटी बच्चे को भी दे रहा हूँ, 2 रोटी बड़े को भी दे रहा हूँ, राइट? तो आपके घर में भी माँ है, तो जिसकी जरूरत ज्यादा है उसको हम ज्यादा देते हैं, राइट? तो अगर किसी का पेट छोटा है या फिर अगर उसकी उम्र छोटी है तो हम उसको 2 रोटी दे रहे हैं. अगर किसी की उम्र ज्यादा है तो हम उसको ऑफ कोर्स ज्यादा खाने के लिए देंगे, राइट? तो बेसिकली क्या होगा कि हम लोग जो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन है उसको करेंगे किसके हिसाब से कि किसकी क्या नीड्स हैं, राइट? एंड देयरफॉर अब जो बाकी यहाँ पर थ्योरीज हैं, जैसे सोशल जस्टिस क्या है, प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स क्या, वेलफेयर मैक्सिमाइजेशन क्या, इनको देख लेते हैं, राइट? सो इक्वालिटी का मतलब हमारे पॉलिटिकल साइंस में इक्वल टू नहीं है, बराबर बराबर डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना नहीं है, रादर नीड्स के हिसाब से डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करना है. लेट्स से कि एक दीवार है और दीवार की दूसरी तरफ लोगों को देखना है. पीपल नीड टू वॉच टू द अदर साइड. ओके, एक की हाइट 6 फुट है और दीवार की हाइट 5 फुट है. एक बंदे की हाइट है 5 फुट, एक बंदे की हाइट है 4 फुट, एक बंदे की हाइट है 2 फुट. तो ऐसा पॉसिबल नहीं है कि आप 2 फुट वाले को भी 1 मीटर का टूल दे रहे हैं और 6 फुट वाले को भी 1 मीटर का टूल दे रहे हैं. दिस इज नॉट गोइंग टू सॉल्व द पर्पस, राइट? तो आप अल्टीमेटली क्या करेंगे, लोगों को उनके हाइट के हिसाब से, जिसका हाइट 6 फुट है, जो आराम से दीवार की दूसरी तरफ जा सकता है या देख सकता है, उसको आप टूल नहीं देंगे, उसको देने की जरूरत नहीं है. लेकिन जिसकी हाइट 6 फुट से नीचे या 5 फुट से नीचे जो दीवार की हाइट है, उनको आप टूल देंगे ताकि वो दूसरी तरफ देख पाए या जा पाए, राइट? तो उस केस में हम क्या देख रहे हैं कि अलग अलग लोगों के हिसाब से हमको अलग अलग डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन करना पड़ता है. नाउ दिस इज इक्विटेबल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन. इट इज नॉट एग्जैक्टली इक्वल, बट इट इज ब्रिंगिंग एवरीवन एट द सेम लेवल. तो हम अल्टीमेटली क्या कर रहे हैं, जस्टिस के तहत हम सबको सेम लेवल पर ला रहे हैं. वी आर ब्रिंगिंग पीपल टू द सेम लेवल, राइट? सो जैसे ही हम सबको सेम लेवल पे ला रहे हैं, देयर इज वन मोर थिंग दैट इज गोइंग ऑन. ओके, कि चीजें जो है वो इक्वल हो जा रही हैं, जो एंड रिजल्ट है, whatsoever is the end result, that is getting equal, right? So end result ultimately is justice. Okay, और जस्टिस का मतलब यहाँ क्या हो रहा है कि सबके साथ सही हो, जस्ट हो, राइट? सही सही हो मीन्स राइट हो, जस्ट हो, राइट? जस्ट मीन्स सही हो, जो हमारा नोशन होता है. नाउ अगेन दिस इज अ क्वाइट टफ कंसेप्ट टू डील विद. हम इसके बारे में बात करते रहेंगे तो करते ही रह जाएंगे. सो आई एम मूविंग टू व्हाट इज सोशल जस्टिस. नाउ व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट सोशल जस्टिस में वी टॉक अबाउट जस्ट रिलेशन बिटवीन इंडिविजुअल्स एंड द सोसाइटी, राइट? टर्म ही है सोशल जस्टिस. और अगर हम इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को भी हम देखें तो इन द प्रियम्बल वी हैव जस्टिस of three kinds which are available under preamble, okay, of social, economic and political, right? So social justice is the primary kind of justice which is inherent in Indian constitution also, and it is quite important. Social justice का मतलब क्या है कि सोसाइटी में जस्टिस हो. तो सोसाइटी में दो बेसिक चीजें हैं, दो बेसिक एस्पेक्ट्स हैं हमारे पास. वन इज इंडिविजुअल एंड द अदर इज जनरल सोसाइटी, right? So a balance between society and individual is important, and this is something which we cover under social justice, right? And therefore whenever we talk about social justice we will talk about कि हम लोगों को क्या privilege दे रहे हैं, opportunity, wealth, इनको कैसे बांट रहे हैं, so that the balance between society and the people in or individuals in the society is maintained. Okay, next we have property rights. Okay, now when we talk about property rights, there are two kinds of properties that we are concerned with. Number one is just acquisition, okay, or just transfer. So आप प्रॉपर्टी को एक्वायर कर सकते हो या फिर ट्रांसफर कर सकते हो, राइट? नाउ व्हेन आई से कि यू कैन लेट्स से acquire the property or transfer the property, there are two different kinds of properties then. Number one is owned things. Let's say you have certain acquisition किसका करेंगे हम? You have certain copyright material. आपने कुछ लिखा है, कोई बुक लिखी हुई है, कोई नोवेल है आपके पास, let's say कोई मूवी का स्क्रिप्ट है आपके पास. Now you have invested your intellectual property into that, क्योंकि आपने कुछ क्रिएट किया हुआ है. You have created something awesome, right? तो आपने जो भी चीजें क्रिएट की हुई हैं उसको कोई और एक्वायर कर सकता है, right? So these are something which will ultimately be owned by you. It cannot be owned by somebody else. अगर पिकासो ने कोई पेंटिंग बनाई तो उसको कोई और नहीं बना सकता है. तो पिकासो की पेंटिंग को केवल ट्रांसफर किया जा सकता है, okay? या लेट्स से nobody can recreate it. Okay, अब अगर कोई और उसको रिक्रिएट नहीं किया कर सकता है तो जो यहाँ पर प्रॉपर्टी है उसको कोई दूसरा एक्वायर कर सकता है. एंड देयरफॉर द फर्स्ट एस्पेक्ट इन प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स आर जस्ट एक्विजिशन ऑफ द प्रॉपर्टी. नेक्स्ट वी सी इज जस्ट ट्रांसफर ऑफ द प्रॉपर्टी. जस्ट ट्रांसफर मींस कि हम किसी को लैंड दे रहे हैं, तो आपने अपना लैंड का जो राइट्स है वो दूसरे को दे दिया. ओके, तो लेने वाला उसको सही तरीके से ले रहा है कि नहीं, जस्ट ट्रांसफर हुआ कि नहीं. ओके, सिमिलरली किसी चीज का सेल, आपने कोई मोबाइल खरीदा, कोई लैपटॉप खरीदा, ओके, तो आपने कुछ पैसे लगाए, क्या आपको उस पैसे का वैल्यू मिला, दैट विल बी जस्ट सेल. एंड देन वी हैव जस्ट एग्रीमेंट्स. नाउ देयर आर सर्टेन एग्रीमेंट्स बिटवीन पीपल. ओके, आप एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट किए, दो लोग कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में आए और एक एग्रीमेंट में आए. तो वो जो एग्रीमेंट चल रहा है वो भी क्या वो जस्ट है, क्या वो जस्टिफाइड है? कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है एक जो है वो दूसरे का शोषण कर रहा है, one is exploiting the other. Okay, so such things should not happen. This is also the part of justice and comes under property rights. Next we have the concept of welfare maximization. So what is welfare maximization? अगर आपको वो याद हो जो हम क्लास के स्टार्टिंग में बात कर रहे थे, डॉक्टर्स डिलेमा, then we have seen कि डॉक्टर्स के पास एक सिचुएशन थी कि अगर वो चाहे तो एक 18 साल के बच्चे का जो कि हेल्दी है उसके ऑर्गन्स को लेकर के बाकी जो लोग अनहेल्दी हैं जिनको ऑर्गन ट्रांसप्लांट की जरूरत है उनको ऑर्गन्स दिए जा सकते हैं. अगर उनको ऑर्गन्स दिए जा सकते हैं तो किस लॉजिक पे दिए जा सकते हैं? डॉक्टर के पास ये लॉजिक हो सकता है कि एक व्यक्ति की लाइफ को मैंने लेकर के 10 लोगों की लाइफ को अच्छा कर दिया, तो मैंने वेलफेयर को मैक्सिमाइज कर दिया. या उस केस में जहां पर आप बोल रहे थे कि आप ट्रेन को उधर मोड़ना चाहेंगे जिधर 7 लोगों की जान बच जाए, या जिधर 7 लोग हैं उधर नहीं मोड़ करके आप उधर मोड़ेंगे जिधर कोई एक व्यक्ति है. ओके, तो आप क्या कर रहे हैं कि आप एक व्यक्ति को मार के इंश्योर कर रहे हैं कि 7 जिंदगियां बच जाएं. 7 जिंदगी अगर बची तो बेसिकली इनसे एसोसिएटेड जो पूरी फैमिली है, सो लेट्स से एक आदमी के साथ 4 लोग और एसोसिएटेड हैं, तो ये जो 4 लोग और हैं इनकी भी लाइफ जो है वो इंप्रूव हो गई. सो अल्टीमेटली आपने क्या किया, यू मैक्सिमाइज्ड द वेलफेयर ऑफ द सोसाइटी. तो आपने एक व्यक्ति का जो हैप्पीनेस है उसको मैक्सिमाइज किया, उसका जो वेलफेयर है उसको मैक्सिमाइज किया. ओके, And therefore welfare maximization theory of justice basically deals with maximization of टोटल और एवरेज वेलफेयर। तो सोसाइटी में जो टोटल वेलफेयर है, जो एवरेज वेलफेयर है, हम उसको मैक्सिमाइज करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, राइट? सो दैट दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी टॉक्ड इन डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिव जस्टिस। नाउ नेक्स्ट लेट्स मूव टू रिट्रीब्यूटिव जस्टिस, राइट? सो डिस्ट्रीब्यूटिव जस्टिस में हम क्या देख रहे हैं कि हम चीजों को कैसे डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं, एक व्यक्ति को दूसरे में हम बेसिकली डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कैसे कर रहे हैं। वी हैव वन चैट, ओके, लेट मी सी, ओके, could not hear sir, my voice is not clear, is it clear? कोई मुझे बताएगा? Anyone? I'm just assuming कि बाकी लोगों को आवाज आ रही है, okay, and therefore I'm moving ahead, okay. Next is retributive justice. Now what is retributive justice? Retributive justice क्या है? Just give me a minute to check my audio. I think it is fine, okay. Now let's move to retributive justice. What is retributive justice? Now when we talk about retributive justice, it basically talks about punishment, okay. Now question arises कि हमको punishment क्यों देनी है, क्योंकि अगर आप justice को देखो, whenever you talk about justice, what comes into your mind? Law, code, और laws and codes क्या करते हैं? There are provisions of punishment, there are provisions of certain let's say fines, okay. So ultimately somebody is getting punished for certain action, right? So the question arises कि हम justice करने के लिए किसी को punish क्यों कर रहे हैं, okay. So the first question that arises is why punish someone, next is whom to punish, किसको punish करना है, okay. And then we have appropriate punishment, okay, कि हम सबको appropriate punishment दें. Sir, there is problem in network. Just give me a second. I'm just going to stop the share and check my internet connection. Just give me a second. Be online. Sorry guys, on my end the connection is quite good, okay. जो connection है वो quite अच्छा है, मतलब I don't find any problem with the connection on my end, okay. I just ran the speed test, so I will suggest कि जिनको ये issue आ रही है connection की, वो अपने इंटरनेट पे एक बार रीचेक कर लें, और अगर वो चेक नहीं कर पा रहे हैं अभी, तो ये जो पूरा सेशन है वो रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है, it will be recorded and it will be available on our platform. So if you go to our platform either on YouTube channel or on let's say the main page, okay, of our website, you will find out the recorded lecture, so that won't be an issue. So अगर कोई चीज मिस हो रही है, so do not worry, the sessions are recorded and they will be provided to you even after the class, okay. So where were we? कहाँ थे हम? We were talking about retributive justice. So retributive justice basically talks about कि किसको punishment देना है, क्यों punishment देना है, कितना punishment देना है, right? So these are the things that we were talking about, okay. Fine. Now in this concept there are two basic concepts, utilitarianism and then restorative justice, right? और दोनों similar हैं, दोनों में बहुत अंतर नहीं है. We have already talked about utilitarianism. So utilitarianism means कि हम punishment जो दे रहे हैं, अभी utility का हम लोग एक aspect देख चुके थे कि we are trying to maximize the welfare. Similarly, if you are trying to maximize the welfare, one can argue कि अगर मुझे सोसाइटी में वेलफेयर को बढ़ाना है तो मैं उन लोगों को हटा दूं. I just remove those people who are not contributing to the welfare of the society or who are disturbing the, let's say, social fabric of the society. So there might be certain people who might be disturbing the social fabric. Now let's say somebody is a regular criminal जो बार-बार जाता है कहीं चोरी कर लेता है, बार-बार जाता है किसी का मर्डर कर देता है. Now in those cases what is important is कि आप ऐसे लोगों को क्या कर रहे हैं, इम्प्रिजन में डाल दे रहे हैं, आप उनको प्रिजन में डाल दे रहे हैं, यू कीप देम अंडर इम्प्रिजनमेंट, ओके. Now when you keep them under imprisonment, वो बाहर नहीं घूम रहे हैं, और चूंकि वो बाहर नहीं घूम रहे हैं, they are not committing the crime, and therefore by punishing someone you have maximized the welfare of the society. तो अपने लोगों का जो welfare उसको बढ़ा दिया. And therefore you will see कि जो future consequence है, utilitarianism talks about the future consequence of punishment, कि अगर हम punishment को देते हैं तो future में क्या इसका consequence होता है. So एक तो हमने देखा कि it will act as so basically there are three consequences. Okay, number one is deterrence, कि आप किसी को कोई crime करने से रोक रहे हैं. Now if there is punishment for something, अगर किसी का murder करने के लिए कुछ punishment है, तो people will try not to commit such acts where they will have to pay a lot price और जहां पर उनको punishment मिले, right? So they will avoid doing those things. Okay, so that is the principle of deterrence. So as there is deterrence, they will not do certain things, right? Next is rehabilitation. Rehabilitation means कि अगर आपने किसी को punishment दिया, किसी को जेल में डाला, okay, so एक बार punishment लेकर के कोई व्यक्ति जो है, जो bad person है, he can get converted into good person, right? So that is another purpose. जो तीसरा purpose है punishment के पीछे, that is imprisonment for the purpose of security. Yeah, let's say कि somebody is let's say वही जो हमने पहले एग्जांपल दिया था कि वो बार-बार क्राइम करता है, तो आपने उसको जेल में डाल दिया, और चूंकि वो जेल में है तो लोग अपने घर में आराम से सो रहे हैं, right? So these are the three aspects of utilitarianism, and that's the utility of punishment, कि हम punishment क्यों दे रहे हैं. Next is restorative justice. Now what is restorative justice? Restorative justice pays attention on let's say the kind of things which you are making to do some person who was the victim, right? So आप क्या कर रहे हैं कि अगर किसी का लैंड राइट्स चला गया, कोई आया और किसी ने किसी से कुछ चीज इलीगली ले लिया, राइट? या फिर किसी ने किसी के घर में किसी का मर्डर कर दिया, who was the breadwinner, okay? So what you are trying to do is you are going to provide him or her, okay, a kind of social security, okay? How you are providing him social security? कि आप क्या कर रहे हो कि जिसने उस क्राइम को किया उसको बोल रहे हो कि do one thing, either apologize, okay? So अगर जिसके साथ जो victim है, victim के सामने क्या क्या options आ रहा है कि victim can ask for apology, कि वो सामने वाले से बोले कि you should apologize to me. Second, उसके पास आ रहा है कि you should return back the things somebody has chosen. So let's say कि अगर किसी ने मनी चोरी किया है तो उतने वो पैसे लौटा दे या कुछ और लौटा दे साथ में. Third can be community service, कि आपने अगर कुछ गलत कर दिया है, आपने एक को मार दिया, तो आप 10 लोगों को 10 अनाथ बच्चों को अडॉप्ट कर लीजिए, something of that sort, right? So restorative justice aims at restoring the welfare that was present in the society, and in the way trying to maximize it again. So हम क्या कर रहे हैं कि जो needs victims से लिए गए, victims को जो harm हुआ उसको हम रिस्टोर करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, और रिस्टोर करने के तीन बेसिक जो एम्स हैं, जो मीन्स हैं, वो है अपॉलॉजी, कि आप सामने वाले को बोल रहे हैं यू शुड अपॉलोजाइज फॉर समथिंग, देन रिटर्निंग समथिंग, ओके, और पेइंग फाइन एंड दोस थिंग्स, एंड द थर्ड इज कम्युनिटी सर्विस, राइट? सो दीज आर टू बेसिक काइंड्स ऑफ जस्टिस एंड वी हैव सीन बोथ ऑफ देम, और दोनों को हम समझ रहे हैं कि एक जस्टिस तो गवर्नमेंट करेगी. Now when we talk about Indian Constitution, 8 type of justice. Number one, which is the distributive justice, it will be done by the government, right? कि किसको कौन सी चीजें बांटनी है, social justice कैसा होना चाहिए, and those things becomes the part of the government. कि government इसको different policies के through implement करने की कोशिश करे, right? Apart from this, second becomes retributive justice, जिसको ensure कर रहा है हमारा legal system, right? And therefore I am moving ahead with this discussion. Now, when we look at the provisions in Indian Constitution, we see that under Article 14 there is rule of law. Rule of law means, or rule of law has two different aspects to it. Number one is equality before law, and number two is equal protection of law. Again, we will talk about these in detail. कि what's the difference between equality before law और equal protection of law? इन दोनों में basic अंतर क्या है? ये हम लोग देखेंगे regular class में. But I'm just giving it here for the note कि आपके mind में रहे. Now, when we talk about Article 15 and 16, you will see that they are distributive justice, कि किसको क्या चीजें मिलनी चाहिए, and there are provisions for punishment. So Article 15 and 16 talks about the kind of reservation system for different sections, for STs and STs, for backward classes, and then for women and children, special provisions for them. So these kind of justice or special provisions are the part of distributive justice. Similarly, अगर आपने freedom का गलत उपयोग किया, then you might be punished. Okay, so let's say you have the freedom to speak something, but you cannot speak something against the sovereignty of, or which goes against the national interest. अगर आपने ऐसे कुछ किया, then you will be punished. Okay, so this kind of punishment will become the kind of or a part of retributive justice when we talk about Indian Constitution. Apart from this, throughout the Constitution, there are provisions for distributive justice and retributive justice. So you can find these instances even in, let's say, DPSP. Even when you are talking about Parliament, the kind of election that should take place, you will see that there are distributive elements of distributive justice spread throughout. Similarly, there are elements of retributive justice spread throughout Indian Constitution. And therefore, what I'm trying to insist over here is that the balance between the two has been set. So I don't find any problem with the Indian Constitution per se, right? Next, let's move to the present status. Now, when we talk about the present status, okay, we see, I'm just skipping a major part. I'm not going into the details of several provisions. Although we should also talk about two different articles. Number one is Article 226, and then Article 32. Article 32 deals with or has a special provision for constitutional remedies, right? When fundamental rights are violated, and therefore it is often called cornerstone of Indian Constitution also, right? So what do we mean by constitutional remedy? Okay, is this simply that Article 32 protects all other laws, and in this sense, Article 32 is quite let's say reassuring to have, okay, or let's say it is the cornerstone, okay, and therefore it is one of the principles on which justice relies, or justice is situated on or is supported by in Indian Constitution. So we will talk about these. Similarly, Article 226 empowers high courts for writs. Okay, we will talk about this, and we have even talked about this day before yesterday when we were talking about writ jurisdiction. We have talked about this, and therefore I am skipping these parts. Similarly, one can argue about the legal system. So one can talk about high courts and supreme courts. You can talk about the kind of appointment of judges. You can talk about the security of tenure that is provided to the judges. You can talk about fixed service conditions, expenses that are charged on Consolidated Fund of India. One can talk about the conduct of judges that should not be discussed in the Parliament. Okay, then ban on practices of judges after retirement, power to punish. So courts have power to punish for its contempt. Similarly, Parliament can't curtail the jurisdiction of Supreme Courts and High Courts. Okay, we have separation of executives. So all of these things we will talk later on, but as we are discussing, I have just mentioned them for your ready reference. So if somebody is noting down, you should have these. So whenever you discuss about justice system in India or status of justice in India, just try to let's say add these things also, right? Apart from this, one can also talk about judicial review. Judicial review is the power of the court or the Supreme Court to review any law and then to check its constitutional validity. So if any law goes against the constitutional validity or it violates the constitution, then it stands null and void. Okay, and therefore the power to have constitutional review lies with the Supreme Court, and therefore it is quite important that we even keep this in mind. Next, one can even talk about judicial activism. So recently, you must have heard the term PIL, okay, public interest litigations. So these are instruments of public judicial activism. So basically what it means is that judiciary itself actively takes up the cases just to resolve them so that the balance remains. So we will talk about these in detail. So let me just skip this discussion and move to the present status. Okay. Now, when you see India, you will find out that at present you have delay in justice. Or let's say there are several pending cases throughout India. According to the Wire report of in November 2019 last year, okay, number of cases pending in Supreme Court was 59,000, something around 60,000 cases just in Supreme Court. In High Courts, we have 44.775 lakhs, something around 45 lakh courts cases were pending. In district and subordinate courts, we had 3.14 crore cases that were pending. So it's not a very good status, because justice delayed is justice denied. Okay, and therefore this is not a very good state, very good condition to have. Now, apart from this, there is one more discussion that we need to have, is just that there is missing equality and equal protection of law. Why am I saying this? Now, if you see that we just talked about Article 14, and we talked that Article 14 has two different aspects: equality before law and equal protection of law. Essentially, it means that anyone who is within the territory of India, okay, or let's talk about the citizens itself. So at least citizens should have this. Okay, so what citizens have? So everyone is having free access to law, or they will be treated equal before law. But when you see the present scenario, you see that there are atrocities of police, okay, which went throughout. Okay, January we had several instances after the passing of Citizenship Amendment Bill. Okay, so once we had Citizenship Amendment Act, there were police atrocities. Okay, similarly, we a few years back we heard the cases where certain professors were picked up, and we had the term urban nationalism that was trending. Okay, so we are seeing the kind of police atrocities are there, and therefore justice is delayed or denied. Similarly, there are certain political prisoners in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, okay, who are still under detention, and therefore one can ask that how are they provided equal protection of law? Because in this case, the government has not made it clear what was their crime in the very first place. So such things are there. Apart from this, recently we have seen that although we talk about secularism, but there is a general misunderstanding between religions. So there is a misunderstanding between Hindus and Muslims. Now you do not know why there is misunderstanding, but there it is, and the justice system somehow is just failing. So when I say justice system, I'm just not talking about the courts, and therefore we had this discussion earlier about the distributive justice also. So it is not only about let's say religion; it is also about the economic status. It is also about social, cultural, and religious freedom that we have in this country. So if you will see economic status, you will find out that the economic status throughout India is not constant. Okay, so there is a huge margin, or there is a huge gap between people who are below poverty line and people who are enjoying the best of all the worlds. Okay, or best of all the regions, or let's say best of both the worlds. Okay, so एक तरफ आपके पास टाटा बिरला है, अंबानी है, okay, who are into who are, let's say, millionaires, billionaires. Okay, and on the other hand, you have poor people who are not even able to earn single time bread, right? So the ethnic diversity, there is such a huge gap, and therefore you will see that there is a kind of injustice, because this is a kind of social injustice. Somehow the resources have not been distributed well. Now one can argue, okay, now one can argue under fairness. Under fairness, one can argue कि fair distribution है, जो ज्यादा काम कर रहा है उसको ज्यादा मिल रहा है. Okay, one can argue. Okay, but again we need to remind कि कितना ज्यादा काम कर रहा है. Survival के लिए तो मिलना चाहिए. Okay, even if you talk and even if you stand with the concept of fairness, okay, कि जो जितना काम कर रहा है उसको उतना मिलना चाहिए, और just distribution, not only in terms of equality, okay, but in equity also, you will find out कि of course जो ज्यादा मेहनत कर रहा है उसको ज्यादा मिलना चाहिए. There should be the way to climb the ladders in the society, but at the same time you should also pay attention कि at what cost. So if you are climbing the ladders of development, or if India is developing, at what cost? Are all the sections of the society developing together? So such things need to be there. Okay, and therefore for this I would like to quote, okay, two judgments from Supreme Court, and there is one more judgment, okay, which I will try to quote. Okay, so if you will see in this judgment, in Air India Statutory Corporation versus United Labour Union, okay, Supreme Court gave a judgment, okay, and it said that the concept of social justice consists of diverse principles that are, So consists of diverse principles that are an integral part of justice in the generic sense, right? So social justice is an integral part of justice in the generic sense. It is dynamic device to mitigate the sufferings of the minority. Social justice and equality are complementary to each other. So this is something that you can quote, because social justice and equality are complementary to each other. They both go hand in hand. They both go together, and therefore rule of law is a potent instrument of social justice to bring about equality. Now, as we haven't discussed rule of law in detail, but still, if you are knowing it, you must have this in mind that rule of law is a potent instrument of social justice to bring about equality. We will talk about these in detail. Now, similarly, what Supreme Court is trying to emphasize in this particular judgment is just that social justice somehow is a very important concept, and it is integral part of justice. You cannot withdraw, or you cannot separate social justice from the justice in general, right? So this is one of the judgment from Supreme Court. Another judgment we have now, this is in case St. Xavier's College versus State of Gujarat. Now, this was 1974 case. In this, Supreme Court talked about secularism, okay, and it said that secularism is neither anti-God nor pro-God. It treats alike the devout, the antagonistic, and the atheist. It eliminates God from the matter of the state and ensures that no one shall be discriminated against on the ground of religion. So basically, if you see, most of the time it's said that the concept of secularism is not well defined in India, but if you go with this judgment, it is quite well defined. So okay, because in this particular judgment, Supreme Court is emphasizing that secularism eliminates God from the matter of the state. So there will be no talk about God in the matter of the state. And unfortunately, when we talk about justice, okay, we have Citizenship Amendment Act, and unfortunately, religion is still a criteria over there. And therefore, one can ask that whether such act or Citizenship Amendment Act was aligned to the principles of justice or not, right? Because even if you are discriminated on the basis of religion, it becomes a part of injustice, right? So it's another discussion that we can use. Next, we have, I will end with this, but before I end, there is one more concept that I would like to take up. Okay, so Amartya Sen in his book, so Amartya Sen has a famous book. The title of the book is Idea of Justice. So Amartya Sen in his book Idea of Justice talks about the kind of institutions that we have at present. So the kind of institutions that we have at present are nothing but transcendental institutions. So when I say transcendental institutions, what it means is that these institutions are quite unreal. Why am I saying this, or why is Amartya Sen saying such institutions in India as unreal? Because you will realize that the policies that we have in India right now are, of course, meant for poor, are of course meant for certain sections of the society, but unfortunately, they are not implemented in reality. And even if they are implemented, they do not meet their purpose in reality. Now, as they do not meet their purpose in reality, they just remain transcendental institutions, or institutions just in name. So let's say you started a policy of Manrega, okay, or let's say you started the program Manrega. Now the question arises that is Manrega able to solve the real issue, okay, or not? Okay, so we need to analyze policies on these terms, that whether they are creating institutions just for the name, or they are creating institutions also for the purpose of solving the problems in reality. And therefore, one can also argue that there are two basic things, two different things when it comes to Indian polity or Indian policies. Number one is niti, and the next is nyaya, right? So we do have niti, okay. So हमारे पास policies हैं, नीति है हमारे पास, but जो न्याय है, जो justice actually में उन policies को implement करके मिलनी चाहिए थी, क्या वो actually में मिल रही है या नहीं मिल रही है? And therefore, Amartya Sen in his book has rightly described this, कि there has to be a distinction between niti and nyaya, and ultimately जो let's say institutions हैं, ultimately जो programs हैं, there should be a merger of both, that niti and nyaya. So you should have policies, and at the same time these policies should be able to provide justice in real sense, right? Now, this is something that was on my end. Okay, now let me end this discussion from a famous quote from Gandhiji. So Gandhiji told that justice that love gives is a surrender, justice that law gives is a punishment. And I'm just quoting with this. It is up to you people to try to find out the difference between the two sentences that we have in this quote. जो पहला वाला, of course, आपका see, I cannot resist, मैं इसको explain करना ही पड़ेगा मुझे. Okay, so जो पहला वाला आपका sentence है that justice does not that justice that love gives is a surrender is talking about distributive justice. जो आपका second वाला part है justice that law gives is a punishment is talking about retributive justice. And therefore, somehow Gandhiji's opinion is this, that social justice is more important than other aspects of justice which deal with retributive justice or punishment, right? So social acceptance, non-violence is something which is more important. Okay, so I will elaborate. I will just end with this quote. Okay, next comes your chance to ask the question. Okay, so I'm here. If you people have the questions, you can ask me. I'm just going to end this share. Okay, and before you end, there is a short. Before I end and you ask the question, there is a short announcement that we will again meet tomorrow at 7 p.m. and we will again pick up a small topic and we will discuss that in detail so that we can move smoothly with the course and you do have certain idea about the kind of course that will be taking up in Indian Polity in the main course, right? Okay. Have a nice day. And there are the two contacts, right? You have an email ID and you have a phone number, so you can like dial these. And if you have any query, you can ask related to the proper course, right? And if you have any query related to the subject, you can send it to this email and it will be replied by us, right? Okay, so I'm going to end this share. Any doubts or any questions from anyone? कोई questions हैं? If you people have some question, just ask it. Okay. Okay, so I don't find any question right now. Okay, so I'm going to end this session. Session को यहीं खत्म करते हैं. कल वापस से मिलते हैं 7 बजे and then again एक topic का deep analysis करेंगे. We will try to understand its several dimensions and then we will move ahead, right? चलिए, have a nice day. Keep on revising the things and if you have any doubts, just mail your doubts to me. I will be answering those. My email ID is maruti@percepts.in. Right? So it is maruti@percepts.in. Okay. Have a nice day. Take care. Bye bye. I'm going to end this stream. Take care.